Imagine, losing a multi-million-dollar manufacturing contract. Your actual product, the machinery, is demonstrably superior to the competition. Your engineering is flawless.
Right.
But you lose the deal simply because it took your sales team, like 4 entire days, to cobble together a spreadsheet for the price quote. And meanwhile, your competitor's automated software just generated this flawless, customized proposal in 20 minutes.
I mean, it sounds almost absurd when you put it like that, but
Mm.
honestly, this scenario plays out every single day in the enterprise business world.
Yeah.
The friction isn't actually in the product most of the time. It's entirely in the process.
And untangling that massive, paralyzing corporate inefficiency is really our mission for today's deep dive.
Mm.
We're looking at a real-world case study detailing this incredibly complex business-to-business digital transformation for a global manufacturing organization.
A really massive undertaking.
Oh, completely. And our guide for this comes from a project document titled Salesforce Revenue Cloud Implementation, Project 1.
Yeah, and the document itself is just exceptional. And it's really worth noting the credibility behind it before we get into the weeds. The author is Raksha Sanganee.
Right, and she has some serious credentials.
Unbelievable credentials.
Okay.
She actually published this within the UK Salesforce consultants and contractors community on LinkedIn, which is this massive professional group that she actually co-leads.
Wow.
Yeah, she is a highly specialized Salesforce solution architect. If you look at her background, she has this deep, specialized expertise across some of the most complex enterprise tech out there. We're talking Revenue Cloud, Data Cloud, Agentforce for AI, CPQ systems, DevOps.
Which, for those of us who don't spend all day deep in enterprise software, things like DevOps, which is essentially, the practice of continuously updating software without breaking the live system.
Right.
Or Data Cloud, they require a very high level of structural thinking. And that structural thinking is really what makes her document so compelling to read.
It really is.
It reads less like a dry technical manual and much more like a masterclass in solving human behavioral problems through technology.
Which is, where every good technological transformation absolutely has to start. Because
Yeah.
before you can even begin to look at Raksha's architectural solution, you really have to understand the sheer chaos of the environment she walked into.
Oh, let's paint a picture of that starting point because it's wild. We are talking about a global manufacturing company dealing in industrial machinery and complex engineering solutions.
Yeah.
This is far from selling like a simple off-the-shelf
Oh,
widget.
not at all. Think about a massive industrial power generator. A piece of machinery like that is highly configurable.
Right.
So if you sell it in Germany, it might require a completely different set of regional compliance modifications, specific voltage transformers, maybe local installation services, compared to that exact same core generator being sold to a facility in Japan.
Wow, yeah.
And then you add in extended warranties, varying maintenance agreements, localized financing options. The complexity just multiplies exponentially.
Now, to be fair, this company hadn't entirely ignored modern technology. They had already implemented Salesforce Sales Cloud, which is a very robust CRM, customer relationship management system.
Right.
So the very front end of their process, like tracking leads and managing that initial customer relationship, that was modernized.
But the breakdown happened the exact moment a deal actually progressed past that initial opportunity stage.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the sales reps had this sleek system for tracking their contacts, but to actually build a quote for this incredibly complex machinery, they were forced to leave the system entirely and revert to manual Excel spreadsheets.
I am just trying to wrap my head around how brittle that is. So they have this cloud-based CRM, but the actual pricing, which is literally the lifeblood of the sale,
Yes.
is just living on individual desktop spreadsheets.
It's entirely manual. Different reps had different versions of the pricing spreadsheet saved on their hard drive.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, it was a mess. And when a rep finally finished calculating a quote, the approval process involved attaching that spreadsheet to an email and sending it to a manager.
Oh, the classic email chain.
Exactly. And that manager might forward it to a regional director for a special discount approval. It was just buried deep in endless email chains.
Think about your own company's expense process or internal request system,
Yeah.
That feeling when you ask a question and suddenly you're forwarded on a chain with 12 different people, none of whom seem to have the actual answer.
Yeah, it's maddening.
Now imagine doing that for a $10 million machinery contract.
It's terrifying. And to compound the problem, their finance system, which was running on SAP software, was totally disconnected from the sales process.
It feels like I don't know, going out and buying a state-of-the-art smartphone to handle all your business, but you only use it to store phone numbers.
Right.
And whenever you actually want to communicate with a customer, you put the phone down, walk to the window, and send out a carrier pigeon.
That's exactly it. The spreadsheets and the email chains are the carrier pigeons here.
Right.
And the business consequences of operating that way in a highly competitive sector are just catastrophic.
Yeah.
What Raksha diagnosed during this early phase is a textbook case of what we call revenue leakage.
So how does that actually hit the company's bottom line? Like, where exactly is the money leaking?
Well, it leaks in a few different places. First, you have inconsistent discounts.
Okay.
When pricing is manually entered by dozens of different reps globally without any central oversight, people use outdated numbers, or they just apply discounts they aren't actually authorized to offer.
Oh, because they're using an old version of the spreadsheet.
Exactly. Second, the sales cycles drag on forever because manual email approvals get stuck in someone's inbox while they're, on vacation in Cabo.
Right.
And third, because the sales spreadsheets and the SAP finance system aren't talking to each other, finance frequently receives inaccurate commercial data.
Meaning the invoice they eventually send the customer doesn't actually match the, quote, the sales rep promised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which leads to delayed billing, massive invoice disputes, frustrated customers, and just a tremendous amount of internal rework.
So the situation is a complete mess. How do you even begin to approach a broken engine like that? Because, if I'm a consultant walking into that, the instinct might be to just throw a new software platform at them and hope it sticks.
And that is the instinct of a junior consultant. But Raksha's methodology goes much, much deeper. She instituted a rigorous discovery phase before even recommending any technology.
Wow.
Yeah, she ran process mapping workshops. She brought together sales leadership, regional managers, product owners, finance, operations, customer service, and enterprise architecture, all in one room.
So she essentially mapped the entire customer journey from the initial lead all the way to the final warranty renewal years down the line.
Exactly. And by getting all those competing departments into one room, the biggest hurdle in the entire operation became glaringly obvious. It was the product catalog itself.
We mentioned the complexity of the machinery earlier, but this catalog had, thousands of products with intensely complex dependencies.
Yes.
Like, if you choose component A, you are required to also choose component B, but only if the regional installation requirement is C.
Precisely. And previously, all of those rules were living entirely in the heads of the individual sales representatives, or, hidden in the formulas of their personal Excel spreadsheets.
But wait, if a catalog has tens of thousands of potential combinations, how is a brand new sales rep supposed to know that Part A requires Part B without breaking the whole machine? If I'm a new hire and I can figure something wrong, how is that even caught?
Well, often it wasn't caught until it was way too late.
Seriously?
Yeah, incorrect combinations were constantly being quoted to customers. And when those invalid quotes eventually made it to the manufacturing floor, the engineering team would have to literally stop everything, flag the error, kick it back to sales, and demand a costly engineering review. It just crippled productivity.
So Raksha's solution to this wasn't just to, put the spreadsheet in the cloud. She proposed a concept called guided selling. Let's break down the nuts and bolts of how that actually works for the end user.
Sure. So guided selling fundamentally changes the interaction between the human and the data. Instead of giving a sales rep a blank grid and just hoping that they remember the rules, the system inherently prevents invalid product combinations.
Okay.
Raksha structured this strict product model utilizing product families, bundles, options, and configuration rules.
Think about the last time you bought a car online, right? You pick the base model, you try to select the premium sound system, but a pop-up appears and says, to add the premium sound system, you must also upgrade to the luxury interior package.
Right, exactly.
The website physically will not let you build a car that the factory cannot produce.
That is exactly what guided selling does for enterprise manufacturing. You're basically putting the bumpers up on the bowling alley.
I love it.
A new sales rep literally cannot build a broken quote because the software logic restricts their choices based on the dependencies Raksha architected into the system.
So you have the diagnosis and the concept. Let's move to the actual structural cure. Raksha designed what looks like a golden triangle of technology to make this happen.
She did. She built her solution architecture on three main pillars.
Okay.
First, she used Salesforce Revenue Cloud to handle the CPQ, which stands for Configure, price quote.
Oh, right.
That handles the guided selling we just discussed, along with the eventual billing, subscriptions, and contract management. Second, Sales Cloud continued to do what it's good at, managing the accounts and relationships. And third, SAP remained the core system for finance and inventory.
And to tie those two distinct ecosystems together, Salesforce and SAP, she introduced MuleSoft.
Yes. MuleSoft operates as an API-led integration layer. An API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's essentially a software intermediary that allows two separate applications to talk to each other.
Wait, I need to pause here and look at this from a bird's eye view.
Sure.
If Salesforce Revenue Cloud is really as powerful as we are saying, why keep SAP in the mix at all? Like, why build a bridge when you could just have one island? Wouldn't it be immensely easier to migrate absolutely everything over to Salesforce and avoid the headache of making two massive, complicated systems talk to each other?
I mean, that is the million-dollar enterprise architecture question right there.
Right.
And the answer comes down to a philosophy regarding systems of record. Not all software is designed to do all things equally well. Salesforce is built from the ground up to be a system of commercial engagement.
Okay.
It is incredibly agile. It is fantastic at tracking customer interactions, managing dynamic pricing rules, and generating quotes quickly.
But it's not a deep finance tool.
Exactly. SAP, on the other hand, is an ERP, an enterprise resource planning system. It acts as the system of financial truth. It is designed to handle immense, highly regulated tasks like global taxation compliance, deep inventory supply chain management, ledger accounting. Raksha recognized that you want your fast-paced commercial pricing managed in Salesforce, but you absolutely need SAP to remain your unshakable financial bedrock.
It's a division of labor. I'm picturing like a high-end restaurant.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Salesforce is your brilliant front-of-house host. They manage the reservations, they greet the guests, they know who has allergies, they handle the customer experience.
Right.
And SAP is your executive chef in the back kitchen, managing the inventory, the food costs, and the actual production.
Exactly. And you definitely don't ask the host to cook the meals, nor do you want the chef out front seating the guests. Let the experts do their jobs.
Which means MuleSoft is the ticket rail connecting the front of house to the kitchen. But how does MuleSoft actually move that data securely? Because the document mentions different layers of APIs.
Yeah, so MuleSoft utilizes a three-tiered architecture. You have system APIs, process APIs, and experience APIs. Think of them as workers with different security clearances.
Okay.
The system APIs go deep into the basement. They connect directly to the raw databases in SAP or Salesforce and pull the raw data.
Got it.
The process APIs sit in the middle. They take that raw data and apply business logic to it. For example, orchestrating the steps required to turn an approved quote into an actual manufacturing order.
And the experience APIs.
Those sit at the very top. They take the process data and format it perfectly so it displays cleanly on the screen for the sales rep or the customer. Raksha defined clear system ownership. MuleSoft just securely synchronizes the approved information up and down those layers so there are no reconciliation errors between the front of house and the kitchen.
It sounds perfect on a whiteboard, but I mean, when you ask software to juggle thousands of regional pricing rules, synchronize data across global regions, and prevent users from making mistakes, well, you run into the physical limits of the technology.
You do.
Which brings us to the roadblocks of the Agile implementation.
Right. Raksha managed this rollout in 2-week Agile sprints. And very quickly, she ran into a massive technical challenge product real performance.
Right, because she built this foolproof guided selling system. But because the machinery catalog was so massive, when a rep clicked to configure a quote, thousands of product rules were attempting to fire and calculate simultaneously.
Yes. And to understand the mechanism of why this happens, you have to look at how software processes logic. If the system fires a rule to calculate a regional tax, but it fires that rule before it calculates the volume discount.
Old math breaks.
Exactly. The system realizes the final number is wrong, so it loops back, recalculates, and tries again. When thousands of rules are firing in an unoptimized sequence, the processing power is just overwhelmed. The system chokes and runs incredibly slowly.
And if the shiny new system takes 5 minutes just to load a single page, the sales reps are going to abandon it instantly and go back to their carrier pigeons.
100%. Slow performance destroys user adoption. So Raksha had to go deep into the back-end configuration. She optimized the rule sequence, meaning she explicitly told the system which mathematical formulas to run first, second, and third, preventing those endless recalculation loops.
Wow.
She stripped out duplicate logic and streamlined the processing engine until it ran smoothly.
But fixing the software logic is often easier than fixing the human logic,
Oh, absolutely.
which brings us to the change management hurdle. The sales reps resisted the new system.
They absolutely did. They
Yeah.
were comfortable with their manual Excel sheets, flawed as they were.
I mean, think about the legacy software you use at your own job right now, right?
What?
The interface might look like it's from 1998, it might crash once a week, but you know its quirks.
You know how to work around it.
Exactly. If your IT department tried to take it away tomorrow and give you a sleek, unfamiliar platform, wouldn't you resist? It reminds me of trying to take away a master chef's favorite beaten-up frying pan. The handle is loose, it's warped on the bottom, but that chef has cooked with it for 10 years and knows exactly where the hot spots are.
Right.
If you hand them a perfectly calibrated, brand new copper pan, they are going to say, I can't cook with this, it doesn't feel right.
It's so true. Taking away familiar chaos is often perceived as a threat. And this illustrates Raksha's core philosophy beautifully. Great enterprise architecture is completely useless without user adoption.
Yeah.
Technology doesn't solve business problems. People using technology solve business problems. If those reps refuse to log into Revenue Cloud, the entire multi-million-dollar project is a failure, no matter how elegant those MuleSoft APIs are.
So how did she actually convince them to use the new pan?
Well, she didn't rely on executive mandates. She treated user adoption as a critical architectural component from day one. She introduced sales champions.
Like finding the most influential sales reps and turning them into advocates.
Precisely. If a manager tells a rep to use a new tool, it's a chore. If their top-performing peer shows them how much faster they closed a deal using the new tool, it becomes essential.
That's smart.
Raksha ran continuous feedback sessions. She listened to their frustrations during the sprints and actively tweaked the interface to solve their day-to-day pain points. She proved the value of the platform to them personally.
And when they finally crossed the finish line and the system went live, the return on investment for this manufacturing company was staggering. We have to look at the measurable payoff of this new end-to-end quote-to-cash process.
The metric that stands out above all others is, quote, creation time. Under the old system of desktop spreadsheets and endless email chains, generating a complex machinery, quote, took several days.
Days.
After Raksha's implementation went live, that average time was reduced to under 30 minutes.
That is wild. A process that took nearly a work week now takes half an hour. The competitive advantage of that is immense. If a client asks two competing manufacturers for a quote, the one who delivers a professional, accurate proposal in 30 minutes is going to win the business over the one who asks for 4 days of patience.
Unquestionably. And that speed is matched by accuracy and transparency. Because of the new architecture, discount approvals are no longer lost in email. They are routed automatically through Salesforce Flow.
Let's quickly define that mechanism. Flow is essentially Salesforce's logic engine for automation.
Right.
So if a rep offers a 10% discount, the flow automatically pings the regional manager. If it's a 20% discount, the flow knows to instantly escalate it to the VP of sales. It's fully automated and auditable.
Yes. Contracts are now generated automatically with the correct regional legal language. SAP finally receives accurate, validated commercial data instantly, completely eliminating the billing delays and invoice disputes that used to plague the finance department.
The ripple effects touch every department. But most importantly, the sales teams got their time back. Time they can now spend actually talking to customers and building relationships rather than managing administrative spreadsheets.
Exactly.
Raksha noted in her document that architecture connects people, processes, and technology to deliver meaningful, measurable business transformation.
And it all routes back to her initial discovery phase. If she hadn't understood the deep operational pain of the existing processes, if she had just installed software without talking to finance or operations, she could never have designed a system that delivered this magnitude of value.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Whether you are managing a global supply chain for industrial machinery or you're just trying to streamline your own small team's daily workflow, the fundamental lesson here is universal. Fixing the process always precedes implementing the technology.
Technology is an enabler. It is not a strategy on its own.
Right.
If you digitize a broken, convoluted process, you don't get innovation, you just get a faster broken process.
You have to untangle the bureaucratic maze first, understand the human element, and then architect the solution. Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder about where this is all heading next.
Oh, this is fascinating.
We mentioned earlier that Raksha Sanganee is a powerhouse not just in Revenue Cloud, but also in Data Cloud and Agentforce.
Right. And Agentforce is Salesforce's platform for deploying autonomous AI agents.
Yep.
It represents the absolute bleeding edge of enterprise technology right now.
Exactly. So think about this trajectory. Raksha's brilliant architecture took a multi-day manual, quote, configuration and cut it down to under 30 minutes today. That is the current benchmark of excellence.
Yeah.
But what happens tomorrow? What happens when you plug autonomous AI tools into a perfectly architected system like this? Imagine AI agents analyzing a customer's real-time operational data, cross-referencing your global inventory levels, and reviewing historical buying patterns to accurately predict their machinery needs.
I mean, the AI could auto-generate the perfect, customized, fully approved quote before the sales rep even logs in for their morning coffee.
Exactly. If 30 minutes is the gold standard today, what does a 0-minute quote process look like for the future of business? It's something to think about the next time you find yourself stuck waiting on an endless email approval chain.